In 2026, the world's largest economy is Brazilian. The second is Nigerian. The United States is a memorial park. This is the timeline that almost happened. On October 27, 1962, it came down to 3 men on a Soviet submarine. 2 of them said yes. 1 of them said no. In this timeline, there is no third man. By October 27, 1962, the world had been on the edge of nuclear war for 12 days. Soviet nuclear missiles on Cuba, an American naval quarantine, Kennedy refusing to back down, Khrushchev refusing to back down, the Joint Chiefs of Staff urging airstrikes and invasion, the whole planet holding its breath. But the moment that almost ended civilization didn't happen in the White House or the Kremlin. It happened in a submarine the size of a city bus, slowly suffocating at the bottom of the Caribbean Sea. Submarine B-59, a Soviet Foxtrot-class diesel boat, submerged for days. Temperature inside, 130 degrees Fahrenheit. Carbon dioxide reaching dangerous levels. Radio contact with Moscow, none since October 19th. The crew had no idea what was happening on the surface. No idea if war had already started. Here is the tragedy inside the tragedy. Those American depth charges were signaling munitions, the size of hand grenades, designed simply to say surface and identify. Standard naval protocol. On the surface, routine. Inside a steel pressure hull 300 feet down, those same charges sounded like combat artillery cracking the boat apart. The crew of B-59 had no way to know the difference. Captain Valentin Savitsky, sleep-deprived, oxygen-starved, cut off from all communication since October 19th, became convinced war had already begun. He ordered the nuclear torpedo prepared for launch. His exact words, recorded by a crew member who survived: "We will die, but we will sink them all. We will not disgrace our Navy." On B-59, unlike the other 3 submarines in the Cuban deployment, a nuclear launch required authorization from 3 senior officers: the captain, the political officer, and the flotilla commander. The flotilla commander on B-59 was Vasily Arkhipov. He refused. He argued with Savitsky for hours in that boiling hull until Savitsky stood down. But in this timeline, Arkhipov was assigned to a different submarine. On B-59 that night, only 2 authorizations are required. Both say yes. The nuclear torpedo detonates below the USS Randolph. The carrier and 2 destroyers are destroyed instantly. 400 American sailors die in seconds. In Washington, the message arrives within minutes. A Soviet nuclear weapon has been used against U.S. naval forces in international waters. Kennedy has 20 minutes, not to decide whether to go to war, to decide how much of the planet to destroy. Because in 1962 the United States operated under STOP 62, the Single Integrated Operational Plan, and it had exactly 1 setting. Not a warning shot, not a targeted response. A pre-programmed all-out strike of over 3,000 warheads against the Soviet Union, Eastern Europe, and China, launched simultaneously the moment nuclear war began. There is no limited option, no abort code that reaches a B-52 at altitude. The order is a one-way door. And nobody in that room mentions the part they all already know. STOP 62 includes China. China played no role in the Cuban crisis. But SIOP 62 was built to eliminate all communist military capacity simultaneously. Beijing, Shanghai, gone. Not for anything China did. Because the plan has no page for exceptions. Kennedy authorizes the retaliation. Not because he wants to end the world. Because if he waits, the Soviet missiles already on Cuban launch pads will fire first. Waiting means losing the ability to respond at all. Before the warheads reach their targets, the high-altitude detonations create something the civilian population has never imagined. Electromagnetic pulses that fry every power grid, every radio, every vehicle simultaneously across the entire northern hemisphere. The lights go out from London to Los Angeles before the cities themselves are struck. People have no warning, no announcement, just darkness, and then the sky turning white. The order goes out. American nuclear strikes hit the Soviet missile sites in Cuba within 40 minutes. The sites are destroyed. But Soviet doctrine is clear. Any nuclear attack on Soviet assets triggers an automatic response. Khrushchev orders full retaliation. The Soviets have 3,000 nuclear weapons. The United States has 27,000. In the first exchange, Soviet missiles hit New York, Washington, Chicago, Los Angeles, London, and 14 NATO military installations in Western Europe. U.S. bombers and missiles hit Moscow, Leningrad, Kiev, and 47 Soviet military targets. In 24 hours, an estimated 300 million people are dead, not from radiation, from the direct blast and heat of the explosions. Radiation comes later. The Northern Hemisphere's major cities, every major industrial center, every government, every military command, gone. What remains is chaos. The fires burn for months. 150 million tons of soot rise into the upper atmosphere, blocking sunlight over the Northern Hemisphere. Average temperatures drop 15 to 25 degrees Celsius within a year. Crops fail across Eurasia and North America for a decade. The scientific consensus on nuclear winter, published in Science magazine in 1983, was stark. Mass starvation would kill far more people than the bombs themselves. The survivors walk south. 10 million starving Americans toward the Rio Grande. Millions of Europeans toward the Mediterranean. The largest forced migration in human history. Mexico mobilizes its entire military to hold the northern border. Morocco fortifies the Strait of Gibraltar. The surviving nations of the southern hemisphere face an impossible choice. Open the borders and be overwhelmed, or close them and watch millions die in the cold. Most close them. But survival is not prosperity. The brutal truth. The global south in 1962 depended on the global north for almost everything that kept modern civilization running. Antibiotics manufactured in Germany. Industrial machinery built in Ohio. Vaccines from France. The Dark Decade, 1963 to 1973, is when the surviving nations discover how dependent they were. Hospitals run out of medicines within months. Machines break down with no spare parts and no one who knows how to fix them. Agricultural yields collapse not from nuclear winter, but from the loss of northern fertilizers and pesticides. 2 billion people die in the decade after the exchange. Not from bombs. From cold, dark, hunger, and the absence of the supply chains the world quietly built its survival upon. It takes 60 years. The countries that survive intact, Brazil, Nigeria, South Africa, Argentina, Colombia, Indonesia, inherit a planet from which the great powers have destroyed themselves. But they don't inherit a peaceful one. By 2026, Brazil and Nigeria are not peaceful partners. They are rivals. The tropical Cold War, the contest between South American and African superpowers over northern reconstruction contracts, mineral deposits, and political influence, has defined international relations for 20 years. Both nations developed nuclear weapons in the 1980s, precisely because each feared the other. The world did not learn the lesson of 1962. Sao Paulo is the financial capital of the world. Lagos is its rival. The World Bank is headquartered in Nairobi. The dominant language of international diplomacy is Portuguese, then Spanish, then Hausa. The United States exists as two fragmented successor states, the Republic of New England and the Confederate remnant in the southeast, together totaling about 40 million people. They are not powerful. They are cautionary tales. Their main export is or from the ruins of their own cities. The Northern Hemisphere is in recovery. Not ruin, recovery. Cities are being rebuilt. Populations are growing again. The radiation subsided by the 1980s. But the political and economic dominance of the North? It never came back. Their history books say World War III started in the Caribbean. That a submarine captain's decision to fire one weapon began the chain reaction that killed 2 billion people and ended Northern dominance forever. What those history books don't always say, because this fact only became public in the 1990s, is that in the original timeline, a different man was on that submarine, a man named Vasily Arkhipov, and he said no. The Cuban Missile Crisis is remembered as the closest humanity ever came to nuclear war. What is less remembered is how precisely that closeness depended on one structural accident. B-59 was the only submarine in that deployment that required 3 authorizations, not 2, 3. And Arkhipov happened to be on it because he was the flotilla commander, an administrative assignment made weeks before the crisis. Arkhipov never received the hero of the Soviet Union. He wasn't given a parade or a monument. He gave a few interviews before he died in 1998 and expressed no bitterness about the obscurity. He didn't think he had done anything remarkable. He just thought launching a nuclear weapon was the wrong thing to do. The Future of Life Institute awarded him a posthumous prize in 2017, a prize for saving the world. 2 billion lives. That's the weight of what Vasily Arkhipov carried out of that submarine on October 28, 1962. Lives that exist because he refused to turn a key in a flooded, boiling Soviet submarine in the middle of the night. One man, one word, no. Subscribe for a new alternate timeline every week. And tell me in the comments, what do you think the world looks like today if the Southern Hemisphere had to rebuild civilization from scratch?